Hi all, welcome to the fourth video on Julia programming language. So today's topic is mathematical functions. Actually Julia is having support for plenty of mathematical functions in it. But in this video I will cover some of the most important mathematical functions in Julia. My name is Ratna Kishore. Welcome to the CAST channel. Let's start the topic now. So first we will consider various rounding functions. The first function is round function. The round function rounds the given number to a nearest value. Let me consider a round function with a single argument, that is the number. The first example I am considering round of 3.2. If I uncomment and run this cell, then I got 3.0 as the value after rounding. And then I am considering 3.5 as the value for the round function. Then we got 4.0 as the value after rounding. And next I am considering 3.6 as the value for the round function, then we got 4 again. Next I am considering the round function with two arguments. The first one is the type and the second one is the number, where the type represents the type of the resultant rounded number. Now I am considering an example. Here I am going to use int as the type. That means 77.6 is the number which will be rounded, and then the data type of that rounded number would be integer. After that I am using a display statement println to display the rounded number as well as the type of that rounded number n1. Then the 78 is the value after rounding. Since I am using 64-bit machine, the default integer type would be int64. And then the next example I am considering where I am using n2 as a variable and the number is 56.276 and the data type after the rounding would be 32-bit unsigned integer. Then I am uncommenting the display statement. I am displaying the n2 as well as the type of n2. Then after the rounding 56.276 becomes 56 and which is of 32-bit unsigned integer. So next I am considering the round function with a keyword argument, that is digits. With the keyword argument digits, the round function rounds the number to the specified number of digits after the decimal place. Here as an example I am considering a variable n3 which is holding the value 2 pi, where 2 is nothing but numeric lateral coefficient, where pi is nothing but the constant with a value 3.14 something. Then how we can use the symbol pi here? Let me show that. So in order to get pi, use a backslash escape character and then type pi. After that press a tab. Now the n3 is having the value 2 multiplied by pi. Then I am going to display that. See, we got 6.28318 into n3, that is 2 pi. Then I am rounding the n3 and then I am specifying the digits is equal to 2. So that means this number will be rounded by considering 2 places after the decimal point. Next I am considering floor and ceil functions, where floor function rounds the number down to the nearest value and the ceil function rounds the number up to the nearest value. Let me consider the example for both. Here I am going to consider floor function for number 3.45. Then we will get 3, which is the rounded down value for the 3.45. Then I am considering ceil function for the 3.45. Then it will rounds up the 3.45 to the 4. Next I am considering ABS and ABS2. ABS function computes the absolute value of the given number and ABS2 computes the squared absolute value of the given number. To find the absolute value I am considering some examples here. I am giving 4 as the input for the absolute function, then we will get 4 only. If I give a negative value to that absolute function, we will get the positive value. Here minus 4 becomes 4. Now I am giving a complex number to the absolute function, where the real part is 3 and the imaginary part is 4. Then this absolute function computes the value of square root of real part square plus imaginary part square. Then square root of 3 square plus 4 square it will compute, then we will get 5. Next I am considering square absolute value function. Then I am using ABS2 function on the same value, then which will compute 3 square plus 4 square, which will be 25, that is the squared absolute value. And then we have a function sign which takes a number as input and returns a 0 if that number is 0, and a negative 1 if that number is a negative value, and a positive 1 if that number is a positive value. See, let me consider that sine function with 0 as input argument, then we will get a 0. After that, I am considering a negative 30 as input for that sine function, as well as a positive 30 as input for that sine function. Then we will get a negative 1 to indicate that number is a negative number, and a positive 1 you will get to indicate that 30 is a positive 30. And the Julia is having two functions, one is to compute LCM, another one is to compute GCD. Then I am considering an example to show LCM function with numbers 3, 5 and 6. Then we will get 30 as the value. And similarly, I am using GCD function to compute the GCD of 5, 30 and 45. Then we got 5 as the value. SQRT is the function we have to compute the square root of the given number. Here I am considering the example where I am giving 9 as the input for square root function. Then we got 3. In the next example, I am using the same function with a symbol square root. So that is also accepted in the Julia. Then how to get that square root symbol to perform the square root of the given number? Let me show that. To get the square root symbol, use escape character backslash and then type SQRT characters on the keyboard and press tab. Then you will get a square root symbol, and then 9 I am giving as the input for that. Then if I run this cell, again I got the 9. And then we have CBRT as a function to compute cube root of the given number. As an example, I am considering here 8. Then cube root of 8 is 2. Here also we can use the cube root symbol as a function. Then I am going to show how you can get that symbol as a function. I am using the escape character backslash, and then I am typing the characters CBRT, and then I am pressing the tab key. Then we got cube root symbol. Then for that function I am applying 8 as input. If I run this cell, again I got the cube root of 8, 2 as the value. And then different functions we have to compute exponentiation. We have exp as a function to compute e power given number. And then we have exp2 as a function to compute 2 power given number. And also we have exp10 as a function to compute 10 power given number. As an example, I am considering 0 as the input for exp function, then which will compute e power 0, that will result 1. And then I am going to consider exp2 function with 3 as input, which will compute 2 power 3, then that will result 8. And finally, I am going to consider exp10 function with an input 3, then which will compute 10 power 3, then we will get the result 1000. In the same way, we have different log functions. If you use log as a function to compute the logarithm, that computes the natural log of given number. And then we have log2 function to compute log base 2 of the given number. And we have log10 function to compute log base 10 of the given number. Then as an example, I am considering natural log of 2.7185, which will be approximately 1. And then log base 2 of 8 I am considering, then we got 3, and log base 10 of 100 we are going to consider, then we got 2. Then we have two separate functions to convert the values from degrees to radians and vice versa. First we have a function deg to rad, which will convert the given degree value to radians, and then we have another function rad to deg, which converts the given value from the radians to degrees. Then I am going to use an example. I am supplying 180 as the degrees value to convert into the radians. Then we got 3.14 something as the radians value for the 180 degrees. Then rad to deg function I am using to convert 3.14 radians to degrees. Then approximately I got 180 degrees. Then I am going to give you various trigonometric functions, and sine, cos, tan, cot, secant and cosecant functions are there. All these functions will take the values in radians, and we also have sin d, cos d, tan d, etc. to take the values in degrees. Now I am going to take the examples for these two categories. I am uncommenting these. I am giving 3.14 as the radians value to find sine value, cos value as well as tan value. 3.14 is approximately is equal to 180 degrees, that is pi radians. Then we got sine of 3.14 as approximately 0 and cos of 3.14 approximately minus 1 we got, and 0 we got for the tan of 3.14. And similarly we can give the values in degrees as well with the sin d, cos d and tan d functions. Then we got 0, -1 and 0 as the values for sin d, cos d, tan d functions with 180 as the degrees value respectively. In the same way we have inverse trigonometric functions. So two categories again we have. The first category of functions will return the values in radians and the second category functions will return the values in degrees. Then I am considering some examples where I am taking a sin d, a cos d, a tan d. All these three functions will take a number and returns the inverse value in the degrees. Then if I run this cell, I got sin inverse of 1 as 90 degrees, cos inverse of 1 as 0 degrees and tan inverse of 1 as 45 degrees. And then we have another set to perform hyperbolic functions. Those are sin h, cos h, tan h, etc. And we also have the functions to perform inverse hyperbolic functions. Those are a sin h, a cos h, etc. First I am considering sin h of 1. We got 1.175. Actually sin h of 1 value is equivalent to e power 1 minus e power -1 divided by 2. That also I am computing here. Then if I run this cell again, I got 1.7520 as the value for this expression. In the same way I am going to consider 1 as the input value for the cos h, and then cos h of 1 is equivalent to e power 1 plus e power -1 divided by 2. If I run this cell, then I got the same value for both the things. And then I am going to compute the tan h hyperbolic function by considering 1 as input number, where tan h is nothing but e power 1 minus e power -1 divided by e power 1 plus e power -1. That also I am computing. I should get the same value for both. Here I got that. The last but one function I am going to consider for this video is factorial, which takes a number and computes its factorial. Factorial of 5 I am considering, then I got 120. And the last function I am going to consider for this video is eval function, and which will take an expression and evaluates it. As an example, here I am considering x is equal to 2, and then I am using eval function to compute 3x square plus 4x plus 2. Then if I run this cell, then automatically I will get the result 22, which is nothing but 3 into 2 square plus 4 into 2 plus 2, which gives us 22. That's it guys, these are the mostly used mathematical functions in Julia. So that's all for today's video. I will meet you with a new concept in the next video. Bye bye.